everybody, and welcome back to Freebase Fridays. This Friday, we're going to be doing a moth. And before I get into doing much more of this detail here, I do want to apologize for the lack of the last 2 weeks. There hasn't been a Freebase Friday, and there really hasn't been a whole lot of reason why. I've gone through a massive life change, and it's much for the better, but it's something I'm going to dedicate its own video to kind of talking about because there's a lot of different things that I want to cover in it, as well as talking about the changes to come with my channel and just me as a person in general. So I'm going to allocate the time for that later on when I actually can sit down and properly write the script for that video. But for this one, we're just going to keep working on these lovely moths because that's what I saw majority of the comment suggestions on the last Freebase Friday for. This base in particular is going to have a lot of different pre-made options because there are so many moth species. Like, did you know that moths outnumber butterflies 9-1? Butterflies and moths belong to the same order, Lepidoptera. Over 90% of leps, as entomologists often call them, are moths, not butterflies. Scientists have already discovered and described well over 135,000 different species of moths. And moth experts estimate that there are at least 100,000 more moths still undiscovered, and some think that moths actually outnumber 500,000 of the species. So why do a few butterflies get all the attention, right? There's a lot of different species, and because of that, I wanted to try and reflect a few distinct designs through this base so that other people would be able to kind of customize one to their liking. You'll see I'm working on the different kinds of antennae here because I intended to make at least 4 or 5 variants for each thing so that there was a good amount of kind of pick and choose elements for this base. However, in order to get access to these, you do have to either purchase the base for $10 from my website, or you have to support me on Patreon at the $5 tier or higher in order to get access to these free bases every month when they release. It's kind of up to you what you would rather prefer to do. The free line art, as always, will always be free, but it is just a basic common brown moth. Moths also come in all sizes. Some moths are small and they're referred to as micro moths, but generally most families in which the member of species measure at just a centimeter or 2 are considered micromoths. But a still undescribed species collected in Africa is likely the smallest moth of all with a wingspan of just 2 millimeters. At the other end of the spectrum is the white witch moth, which I've seen one of these in person. A friend of mine actually raises them, and oh my goodness gracious, these moths are huge. It's a neotropical species with a wingspan that reaches up to 28 centimeters. It's literally as big as a common dinner plate. A lot of people think that the Atlas moth is the biggest, but it's actually not. It's the white witch moth. Moths also have an absolutely remarkable sense of smell, but it's particularly in the males of the species. And this is called chemoreception. Moths smell with these cues with a highly sensitive receptor on their antennae, and male moths are the champions of this technique, thanks to the feathery antennae they have with lots of surface area to grab those molecules from the air and give them a sniff. Female moths use a sex attractant pheromone in order to invite potential mates to mingle. So it's kind of funny when a lot of people draw anthropomorphized moths, with particular female ones having these giant big fluffy antennae, when in reality, you kind of just made yourself a trans moth because only the males have the giant fluffy antennae, so there's a fun little fact for character design as well. But did you know that moths are also pollinators? Now that we're coming back into summer and spring weather, it's really important to remember that our planet relies on our pollinators in order to keep everything alive. It's not just bees, it's not just butterflies or birds. Every little creature plays a very important role, and I find moths in particular tend to get the brunt end of the stick because people see a moth and usually the initial reaction is just, ew, that's a nasty bug. I don't want that. It's so dusty and icky. Get it out. But moths are actually wonderful and very gentle as well. You have to be so incredibly careful when holding them because if just a little bit of the dust on their wings gets rubbed off, they can't fly anymore. Protect our pollinators and try to treat all creatures with respect. Just because you may not like them in your space doesn't mean that you have to end their lives. Give them a chance, put them outside, and just let them do their thing, okay? Right now I'm working on a couple of the different wings for this base. I did the common house moth first, then a tiger moth, which I've always loved because I really enjoyed the book Silver Wing, as well as the animated adaptation of the book, and I just really liked the tiger moths in it. I thought that they were portrayed really pretty. They did a good job capturing all the details for as dated as that animation is. And then, of course, I had to do the beautiful Luna moth wings with those lovely long tendrils, which, another fun fact, only the males have the really long, fluffy tendrils. Females have much shorter ones, like these. So I kind of tried to mix and match elements. But if you do download the premium version of this base, of course you are more than welcome to modify this to your heart's content. Maybe you want to have mixed elements of both. Maybe you want to do your own custom wings. It's entirely up to you. I just wanted to have a little bit of fun and make a couple pre-made options because moths are pretty and they have lots of different wing shapes as well as wing colors and stuff. I debated on doing a death's head moth for one of these pre-made options, but I felt like that's something that's so unusual and custom that it would be better suited for more so doing commission work on them or just designing a character outright. Making sure that all my layers are good to go and everything's ready and Freddy. I'm just finalizing the last little bits of details here before moving on and adding the dust layer, which is able to be deleted on its own, so if people don't like it, they can just remove it and be done with it. Coloring in the rest of the base was actually really super simple. I'm just selecting each one of the individual parts, filling them in with a color, and then adding any additional details that I wanted. A lot of just kind of working through individual parts and making sure that I'm overall satisfied with this base, that I could feel justified in charging $10 for this one with all the pre-made options that it comes with. Usually I will do at least 3 views of a base, but because a moth really doesn't have much of a face shape, it's just kind of a semicircle, I figured in this particular case, 2 sides work just fine. Finishing up the last few little details here, and then the base is finally complete and finished. I want to thank you so very much for taking the time to watch this video, and again, if you want to download this base, you can get the line art for the basic moth for absolutely free over on my website, artbyneffertity.com/free-bases, or you can pick up the premium version with all the pre-made parts on my web store, or you can support me on Patreon from the $5 tier or higher to get access to all of the PSD files for all the bases that I've ever made every week. I'm going to try and get more consistent now that the life thing is kind of under control and I'm able to work productively once again. So I think that'll probably do it for this one. I want to keep things short because I have a lot of work to do and not a whole lot of time to do it. Expect a couple updates and a big update video coming in the near future. And of course, be sure to leave your suggestions for the next species that I should do because I'm definitely going to look and see which one gets the highest amount of feedback. Thank you so very much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day and a fantastic life.